Hi everybody, what I'd like to do for the next few minutes is go over the process that you're going to be utilizing and the information that you're going to need in order to log on to the Linux server at Sacramento City College. Now during this series of tutorials, or this particular tutorial, what I'm going to be doing is that first I'm going to be going over and providing some information about the Linux server address, the convention that we're going to be utilizing for your username, and also the process we're going to be utilizing for assigning you a password. From there, we're going to go ahead and move into how you're going to be utilizing a program called Putty, which is a piece of software that you're going to download from the orientation web page. And you don't really install this on your computer. What you basically do is it just sits on your desktop. It can be put on your thumb drive, your USB thumb drive. And I'm going to go through a process of how you configure that using the information to log onto the server. And then I'm going to show you how you log in, how we do some very basic simple commands, and then actually how to log back off again. So I'm first going to go ahead and move into just covering some basic information about that you're going to need to know in order to log into the server. Now, before you're able to log into the Linux server at Sacramento City College, you're going to need essentially three pieces of information. First of all, you're going to need to know what the Linux server address is. And in this particular case, it's cis.losrios.edu. I've also provided that information in the course outline for the course. The second piece of information you're going to need is a username. The first part of the username, and everybody's is exactly the same, the first part is CISC32X and then an underscore. And essentially, if you are enrolling in CISC 323, you're going to continue to use this same username for both CISC 323 and for 324. The second part of the username is going to be your student ID number. And for example, as you can see on the screen here, I've given you an example of W1234567. And this is just an example. Now you use your student number to log into things like e-services, to register for classes, also to log into Desire to Learn in order for you to do coursework. So for example, your student ID might be W and it might have 5 zeros and 2 digits, or it may have all digits or all numbers. So this just serves as an example, and we want to utilize something that you're all very familiar with. The next piece of information you're going to need is a password. And rather than giving everybody the password at the get-go and then have people that are not registered in the class able to log on, the way that we're working around this is by providing an email to all of those students that are officially enrolled in the class. Will get an email sent to them with the password contained in the email. Now for students that are trying to add the class and their name is on a wait list, an official wait list, or just coming to the course orientation and trying to add the class, for those students, once you are officially enrolled in the class, you will then get an email from me and you will be able to log into the class. So now what we want to do is move in for a demonstration of how to use a program called Putty that you're going to be utilizing to log into the server at Sacramento City College. What you're looking at now is just a portion of my computer screen, which is running Windows Vista. And what I want to draw your attention to is on the desktop, you'll see this little icon here for Putty. And Putty is that program that I mentioned that you're should be downloading and putting on either your computer or on a USB stick, if you will. And remember, you're not actually installing this on your computer. It's actually something called portable software. So it's just running from your desktop, or it's running from your USB stick if you happen to be utilizing that memory stick. So to start the program, basically all I'm going to do is go ahead and double click on it. And what I'm going to do is move the screen around a little bit so that it's a little easier for everybody to see. Then I'm going to, here, what you're initially getting is just a security warning, and I believe this is just a warning that is provided by your virus protection software. Anytime you're opening up a program that has an exe file, it looks at that and it asks you a question. In this particular case, it's okay to run the program, so I'm going to go ahead and just click Run. And then I'm just going to move the screen down so it's a little bit easier to see. Now, one thing that I want to mention to you is that there's two ways you can handle Putty. One is that every single time you log in, you can go ahead and make all your settings, or you can take the easier way and save your session. If you will, it's kind of like a profile, and give it a name so the next time you open up the screen, all the information is there. So I'm going to make a couple changes before we get started. First of all, you'll notice over here on the left-hand side, you have what we call your category, just the way you want Putty to look and feel. Now I'm just going to show you one thing, which is I'm going to change the appearance. I want to make the text a little bit bigger in the screen when we log on, so everybody's going to be able to see that. So all I basically do is click here, and you'll see over here I have where I can change the size of the font, which is what I'd like to do. And I'm just going to change it to size 14 point, and pretty much that's it. The other thing I wanted to mention to you is you would think there would be a box here where you could save what you're doing. But for whatever reason, they don't have that. All you really do is once you've changed all of your settings the way you like them, you just go back and click on Session, which is the session where you were at, and then you're right back to the window that you started. The next thing that you want to put in here is your address where you're going to be logging into. And that is cis.scc.losrios.edu. And I have a copy of that address also in the course outline, which you should have downloaded and have already reviewed prior to me starting to do this, so you know what I'm talking about. The other thing that you're going to want to do is you notice that it has several different protocols it's using. The one that you want to select is SSH, which we call Secure Shell. And the reason why is the old telnet method, we still use that term. We're going to telnet to the server, which means we're going to remotely connect, but it's an unsecure connection. And our server at the college won't accept that. You'll just get weird error messages if you try to do that. So what you want to do is make sure you select the SSH button. After that, then give the session a name. So I'm going to call this the Linux class logon, L-O-G-O-N, and just give it a name, and then all I'm really going to do now is say save. And I just wanted to show you that this actually saves the session so that every time you open it up, you don't have to go back in and put this information. In order to do that, I'm just going to cancel out of here for a minute. I'm just going to open Putty back up again, like we did before. And I'm going to go ahead, and this time I'm just going to click the class login, which I just created, and click load, and you notice that it automatically puts the information in here, so I don't have to retype it all the time. And so it's kind of like set it up one time and then reuse it over and over again, and it'll just remember what the settings are. At this point, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and click open. And when I click open, I'm just going to move the screen so that it's in view, and you can see basically what I'm going to do. I'm just going to resize this a little bit so it's a little bit easier for you all to see. And this takes me a minute to do this. Hopefully my Linux time will not time out. And I'm just going to log in using the login information that I provided in the beginning of this tutorial, which is CISC32X_ and then of course your student ID 234217, and then you press enter, and then I'm going to type my password, and my password you won't show up on the screen, and I'll explain how that works in a minute. And then press enter. And again, the reason why the password doesn't show up with asterisks like you're used to in Windows is because of the fact that it's just another layer of security. So with the idea in mind that if somebody can see you put your username in, and if they knew your password, they could log in and delete your files and cause a lot of problems. This way, basically all you really have to do is the password is not showing up on the screen at all. So just so you know you're not doing something wrong. So now you see the Linux prompt here, which is just if you will, your login. This is actually where your home location is, where your files are stored for your account. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in some basic commands so that that are in the beginning of the class, so you know what they look like. I'm just going to type in date, D-A-T-E, which is one of the commands, and it just shows the date, which is Saturday, July 11th, what time it is, and it's Pacific Daylight Time, 2010. Another command that I'm going to put in there is calendar, C-A-L, and when I put that in, you'll see the calendar for the month of July. So that's another command. Another command that you're going to find that that's going to be helpful, especially if you have a lot of things on the screen, is you're going to want to clear things up. And the command for that is clear, C-L-E-A-R. Press enter, and it gets rid of everything on the screen. So it's a little bit easier for you to clean things up, if you will. Another command that you'll see that you'll be using is you want to know who's logged in. So you just type WHO. And it'll show who's logged in at this time. It looks to me like there's myself, and that's pretty much it. Another command that I want to show you that I think is important is history. And if I type the word history, H-I-S-T-O-R-Y, at the prompt, it shows all of the commands that I have just typed in. Another thing that I wanted you to notice, that if I use my up arrow keys on my keyboard, I can pull up those previous commands. What I like to use this for is that I might be writing, especially later on in the course, a complex command, and I may actually kind of get, after experimenting, the command correct. So I can just go ahead and type it again. And so, or use the up arrow to find the command. So in this case, I pulled up clear. I'll just hit enter, and it clears the screen. Now, the last thing that I want to show you is that how do I get out of this system? Basically what I do is I just type exit, E-X-I-T, and I am out of the system and back to my desktop.